Hi everyone, here's the Book Chemist once again, and this is just a brief video to recommend Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, a truly mesmerizing novel focusing on a rather unique narrator, an old woman living in an isolated community in the countryside on the border between Poland and the Czech Republic. Our protagonist spends a lot of her time outdoors. She's the custodian for a few country houses nearby, close to where she lives. And she spends a lot of time casting her horoscopes too. She's a strong believer in astrology. She also teaches English to local school children with rather flamboyant, controversial methods. And she has a lot of friends in the village, including a young man called Dizzy, who's busy translating into Polish the works of William Blake. From this brief description, Drive Your Plow can sound a little bit like a quirky novel of small-town life in the vein of Paninka by Ronan Hession. Cute, occasionally beautiful, but ultimately fairly innocuous. Drive Your Plow, however, has a much sharper edge to it, once again mostly because of the uniqueness of the perspective and the voice that shapes this little world. Because our narrator is such a peculiar woman with such a peculiar personality and quirks, the world that her words are building cannot help but feel eerie. It's at once familiar, but also tinged with strange, almost magical colors. This gives the novel a very much of a fairy tale sort of atmosphere. This Polish village almost feels like a village trapped inside a snow globe. And just as in, most fairy tales, Drive Your Plow also has a strong gruesome element. And in fact, a fairly gruesome death is the event that gets the events of the novel rolling. And it won't be the last death you're going to read about. On a superficial level, Drive Your Plow is very much of a gothic mystery and a crime novel. And if that were all that it was, it would still make it a great achievement, a master stroke in atmosphere and plot. But what elevates it is once again the reflections and the voice of its protagonist, this woman who turns this story into a novel bubbling over with ideas that are both off-kilter but also strangely compelling. Our protagonist is a strong advocate for animal rights and has a fairly interesting anti-positivistic attitude to science. For instance, she is busy with experiments that she thinks will disprove the beliefs of modern genetics. And she argues, when confronted with her arguments about the crimes and the horrors perpetrated in the name of science, in the name of logic, it's hard not to see how her points can be quite compelling. It's hard to argue that rationality hasn't caused immense, catastrophic horrors in the course of history. Having recently read The Goldbug Variations by Richard Powers, a work of insufferable puritanical positivism, the protagonist's attitude in Drive Your Plow, I found it extremely refreshing and extremely human, and it's easy to see why the novel engages so closely with the works of William Blake, another author who saw sanctity and innocence in the world of nature and who saw great horror in some of the products of rationality, including the factories of the early industrial revolution. Saying much more about Drive Your Plow is going to give some of its enigmas away. And to be honest, my attitude to the novel was one of great surprise and awe. It's magical in that very peculiar way and really caught me. Really left me mesmerized. I will say that it's truly a jewel of a book. It reminded me closely of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. They're very different books, but they're both based around a truly intriguing enigma and a truly unique narrator. And I think it's the kind of book that's going to... every reader is going to find something in it that they'll find rewarding and they'll find nourishing, be it the protagonist's peculiar perspectives on nature, on humanity's place within nature and on science, or be it the intrigues of these compelling mysteries occurring around this isolated community. It's a fantastic novel. I highly recommend it. And I look forward to hearing whether you loved it too. I know it's become massively popular in recent years. I think it totally deserves it. And I look forward to discussing it in the comment section, as always. Thanks so much for watching the review. Bye, everybody.